This is Last Call Fantasy Football. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
I know we started our show with that
I
last
feel
time.
like we're almost doing the what's the
It almost sounds like
oh
a
my
Blue's
gosh,
Clues.
what's the
Like
new
we just got a letter.
well yeah.
We just got a letter. You know what I'm saying?
Well, what's the new trend where they're like, give me my fucking money, and then everyone goes,
Oh,
yeah, and then
oh
they like
God,
leave the last guy
no!
out.
Stop.
It's
We
so cringe,
can't.
but
We
I
yeah.
feel like that's like what that was right there.
I don't want to be associated with a TikTok trend. Anyways, this is Last Call Fantasy Football. Welcome to our Thursday night, post Thursday night football show. Getting ready for the weekend. We just got done watching a
Garbage game.
lackluster, high promising, under delivering game Thursday night. We just watched the Buffalo Bills beat the Miami Dolphins 31-10, right? Yeah, 31-10, and it was extremely disappointing for fantasy.
Yeah.
Terribly. Like we're
Well,
20
there's
minutes.
some fantasy kings and some fantasy queens, if you know what I'm saying.
I think they know what you're saying because
You know what I'm saying?
they call it a whorehouse because there's a lot of queens in there. Because
Yeah.
you had
That was
one
whorehouse football right there.
one shining star in this game, and his name is James Cook. Which
Not two. Two.
who?
HN.
Okay, sorry. The running backs, which have been like overshadowed between these two teams forever, and they finally rear their heads in a positive way. We had James Cook
Yeah.
go off for 3 touchdowns.
Telling you. This is his season. James Cook is him.
He's so good, and I
And
knew
they're
he's so good.
this this game was so it was so nice to see. The drive that James Cook actually scored on the second touchdown. I think I missed the first touchdown. Because it was the first drive of the game, right? Or second drive. Either way,
No, his first
that
drive.
drive was all Ray Davis, which sucked. It was Ray Davis, Ray Davis, Ray Davis. And then when they got to the goal line, they put in James Cook on the goal line.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
The second
that's
touchdown.
completely backwards, first of all. But that's awesome to see that, like,
Yeah.
they view him as the guy in the need to have it situations,
Mm-hmm.
I think. So he's going to get all the goal line work, I think.
And that's what I needed to see.
Yeah,
It.
that's awesome to see.
That's what I needed to see. If I mean, it's going to be extremely tough acquiring him after he just
I
scored.
really wish I sent a trade for him in our league, and I gotta know. I offered Jaden Reed and McConkey, which Reed and James Cook, like, the gap is not that big where you drafted him. A
And but
couple rounds, but
no, James Cook was a third round pick this
Jaden
year.
Reed was fourth or fifth.
Oh hell no! You got Jaden Reed in like the seventh round. That's where he was going. Jaden Reed
Well,
was a
in our
later
league,
pick.
yes, but he should have
No,
been
no, no, no.
he should have went in the fifth.
Anyways, your issue with that was trying to get a starting running back for a promising receiver. It's tough. Running
Yeah.
backs are hard to come by. But anyways, James Cook looked great, super efficient. I think at one point he was 6 for like 68. Like he was 10.4 yards a carry or some nonsense.
I mean, his efficiency has never been the issue. So if he can start to score touchdowns,
Right. And he
this
got the
could be
goal
a running
line.
back one type of season for him.
His first touchdown was a pass on fourth down, little leak out to the side, and just, walked into the end zone. So I think he's even going to be even more valuable than we expected because through 2 games, this Bills team has completely transformed. They Josh Allen threw the ball
Yeah.
18 times. Granted, they had a pick six. They didn't really need to do all that, but look at the
Well, yeah.
first 2 games. They don't need to lean on Josh Allen chucking that thing deep to Diggs, Davis, and a hodgepodge of dudes. They're playing close to the line of scrimmage, running the ball, throwing screens to Kincaid. I don't even know how many receptions Kincaid had tonight. I think probably 4 or 5. But
Yeah.
the depth of target was, 2 yards downfield. He was just catching little screens, little bubbles,
Yeah.
and
He was
yards
4
after
for 4
catch.
for 33.
Yeah, four
So
four 33 yards. Like
four
they're
catches, 33 yards. Not even 10 yards
they're
or
just running
reception.
the
So
ball, moving the chains. So hate on us. I
I love it for
guarantee.
the Bills. If you're a Bills fan, you should feel ecstatic because that's exactly what you need to do to win championships, and that's what they've been missing.
Right.
Just take the
Sucks for
pressure off
us
Josh Allen and
because we
run the
got
damn ball.
dunked on saying that Keon Coleman was going to have a incredible game. This was where he shows up, and I think he had one target in the entire game.
I don't know why I didn't think about the fact that Jalen Ramsey was probably going to be on him
He
most of the
wasn't, though.
game.
I was paying attention.
Are you sure?
Yes,
Because
he
Keon
was.
was lining up outside most of the game.
He was every snap. I don't think I saw Keon in the slot once, but they didn't have Ramsey shadow Coleman. They stuck to their sides of the field, um, but it didn't matter. He was uninvolved. I missed it, but
Well,
Justin
it doesn't
saw,
matter.
saw
Both their cornerbacks are great. So
he did nothing. Like he goosed you, unless
did he? I don't think he had a catch actually.
no, he had a Hail Mary target by Josh Allen as he was floating out of bounds just to get to him, and it got broken
Oh
up.
yeah, yeah.
So, um,
That was his only target of the game.
yeah, I
That
paid
pass.
attention to every snap
That
because
that was the play that we saw. Okay, let me talk about this. I saw what I believe to have been Josh Allen yelling at Keon Coleman before that play that you're mentioning, actually. Which is funny that he ended up targeting him, but I think it was out of necessity, not in what he wanted to do.
yeah, no, he just threw it down there.
But before that play, I saw Keon kind of talking to Josh Allen, kind of dejected, kind of moving his head side to side, which usually what somebody would do when they're, trying to prove a point or argue or whatever. And Josh Allen said, I know for a fact this is what he said. He said, get him out of the game. Get him out of the game. Like, just kept
Damn.
going like this. And then Keon was like, come on, bro. And then they didn't have time to get him out of the game, and the coach kept him in, but that's
Yeah.
not good.
It's just discouraging. It was a weird game.
Yeah.
But
Well, Josh Allen was probably pissed because that was a terrible game for him.
if so, this has just been our general overview, and we'll get a little bit into the Dolphins. But the main story here was the dominance by the Bills. For fantasy, Josh Allen killed you. Had 13, 14 completions for the one touchdown at the very beginning of the
Yeah.
game. You were probably hyped. If you're a Josh Allen manager, you're like, hell yeah, start first drive, passing touchdown, looked good. He didn't rush the ball at all.
Yeah, when I saw James Cook scored and it was a freaking passing touchdown, I was like, come on, man.
I know.
Could you imagine if he had rushed that one in? Josh Allen would have
You wouldn't
5 points.
Well, if at the 1 yard line they gave it to Cook, and in my mind, I'm like, oh, Josh Allen's just gonna run little shotgun snap QB draw and plow through the line as he normally does. But they handed it off, and he walked into the end zone. So Josh Allen is disappointing for you today. Tyreek and Waddle. Tyreek had 3 catches on the day.
I think Waddle had like 6 or 7 points, so
No,
in a PPR he probably didn't
well,
boost ya.
in PPR he had I think 4 catches. 4 catches tonight. Yeah, four
Yeah,
for
let me look.
41 is what
Okay,
Waddle
so
had.
in our league he had 41 points.
4.1
Or
points.
4.1 points.
Yeah, he was 4 for 41, and he didn't do much better.
You
Actually,
can live
no,
with
he did worse.
4.5 points though from a receiver, I will say.
Tyreek had 12 rushing yards and 12 receiving yards, so a total of 3.6 in a standard league. That's atrocious. I mean, it's just bad. So Hill disappointed you. Waddle disappointed you. Achane did not. They used Achane, and this is probably the biggest storyline of the game, other than James Cook can actually score touchdowns, is Devon Achane was thrusted into a workhorse running back role. I mean,
Yeah, I mean Jeff Wilson was not as involved as I thought he
No,
would be.
me neither.
He was involved quite a bit, but for the most part, I feel like he was only involved because AJ was so damn tired. He was even when it was a passing play, he was catching the ball 20 yards down the field.
I mean, guess how many carries Achane had tonight? Guess how many he had tonight?
I just said 28.
Oh, 28. No, that's ridiculous. He had 22, but 22 for 96, 4.4
That's
carry.
not ridiculous. Come on.
20. You have this thought in your mind that you
Did you
think that
see how many
workhorse.
times he ran the ball? He was the
I
entire
know,
offense.
I know, but
And you act like running backs don't get 28 carries.
they
They do.
don't. They do not. They do not get
They
28 carries.
do.
They do not.
I bet you somebody last week had 28
Well,
carries.
I know for a fact Mixon got 30, but that is
Okay.
abnormal.
Okay.
But
So what the hell?
I'm saying
What are you
that is
talking about?
1,000% abnormal. I'm just saying he had 22. He had 22 carries, and
Bro,
that's crazy for Achan. Um,
that is crazy for him.
96
But if he's
yards,
starting back, it's not that crazy.
but he also caught all 9 of his balls on or seven targets, 7 catches for 69 yards and then touchdown. So he was everywhere. Someone who was questionable going in game time decision, and he gets that kind of work is absolutely insane. He is the MVP. I guess they're willing to thrust him into that role when Mostert's out. So maybe that's a positive sign for Mostert going back, when he's healthy, that they view him as the guy that's going to get the bulk of the work. I don't know. I'm going to throw my hands up and say that was not what I expected. I expected him to be extremely limited because he was limited all week in practice on a short week, and he came out and got 29 total opportunities.
Yeah, I figured if he started that he would, play as normal because he didn't get knocked out of the game last week. He just had a lingering injury from the game.
Right.
Whereas like Mostert got knocked out of the game. So even if Mostert had started, I was not going to play him.
I'm
But I do think when Mostert comes back, like looking back on the game and when Mostert went out of the game, maybe this is wishful thinking because he's on my team, but I really do think that they're going to plug him back into the lineup and kind of run back what they did from last year with a little bit more to HN.
Yeah, and I think what happened tonight kind of spoke to that as well.
Yeah.
Because I
He's
think
definitely going to get more carries than he did last year, but I think it's going to be more of a Jahmyr Gibbs Montgomery split, whereas last year it was like
right,
70-30 Mostert to HN.
right. So yeah, and well, I say the biggest story of the night was that. I think the real biggest story is Tua. Yeah, pour one out for our homie Tua. Ready? Except I'm gonna pour it in my mouth. Whoa. Yeah. Tua Tagovailoa. He might be done playing
He's
professional
dead.
football. Whoa, now.
Sorry.
Not
That's
dead.
insensitive.
That is.
Prayers out to Tua, in all seriousness.
He
That
was.
really does suck.
And Justin, I heard them saying on the broadcast it took them 6 minutes to rule him out with a confirmed concussion.
Honestly, what's even scarier is that if you watch the hit, it looks like it was. I thought it was a neck injury from watching it, just because I
Yeah,
was
Damar
like,
Hamlin hits him like Tua's dumbass lowered his head, closed his
yeah.
eyes, and just ran straight into Damar Hamlin's chest.
What's that's what's scary there is I think that he got the concussion from that
Yeah.
because he as soon as he hit Damar, he went limp.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that. I mean, he hit his head on the ground, but
No, he was
wasn't a
already
hard
out.
hit on the ground. Yeah.
He was doing the gang signs and fist straight up, arm
Oh
out.
my god,
Dude, he
holy
was.
shit, that's hilarious. That's chill out.
He
Chill out,
was.
bro.
And I saw the on Twitter some doctor was saying like, oh,
Said
that's
West Side.
signs of unconsciousness is arms straight out, fist balled up, like he was.
He did that again. Wait, I thought you were joking.
No, I'm not joking. It happened again.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I knew as soon as I saw him go down and his arms and hands and everything all jacked up. Yeah, no, he was knocked out cold. It's
You were lying then. He very well may retire after this game.
that I'm saying you
Well,
said it looked
okay.
like a neck injury. No, it was confirmed a concussion within 6 minutes of him going
Yeah,
back.
and that's also the issue is that it wasn't a hard hit.
No, and
So if he can
anyone
get a concussion that easily, like Yeah, you seriously may have to retire.
And if anyone has had concussions before, the doctor tells you every concussion you have after this, or every hit you have after this, you're more likely to get a concussion and it's more likely to be worse. And he's had a
Yeah.
plethora throughout his career. So
If he
I
does
wouldn't be
retire,
surprised.
listen, if you have Tyreek Hill in Dynasty right now, even Jalen Waddle, honestly,
I'd let him
try to
go
trade them away
for sure.
because Tyreek Hill, first of all, he will retire this year if Tua retires.
I don't know about that. I think he will.
I think 100% he will. He's locked in with the Dolphins. He's not leaving the Dolphins,
Yeah,
and
but if you don't play, you don't get all that money. So he's gonna play it out.
I think he's got enough. But we'll see.
I'm just saying, yeah, if it just sucks because Skylar Thompson came in, looked like
Look like shit.
absolute dog shit. I mean, it atrocious. We were talking before we hopped on the show how terrible they looked or how terrible he
Yeah.
looked, and the offense was not moving. Just bad vibes in Miami tonight. But yeah, that was the story of the game. It wasn't the barn burner. Yeah, the total over what they hit. I mean, 41 points, but 31 to the Bills. It wasn't what we expected. So
Sadly, I feel like it like the Bills didn't even score the rest of the game after halftime. I
no, they had
honestly
a pick
think that the
six.
Dolphins were looking like they were going to get back into the game before that injury.
They were down. It was
So that's what
24-10.
sucks.
24-10.
Yeah.
And then Tua tried to throw the ball away, and his noodle arm couldn't get it out of bounds, and it was picked off on the
Yeah.
sideline for a touchdown. So 31-10. Bills over Dolphins. Bills still look like the reigning kings in the AFC East. They still got the Dolphins numbers, and we move on. We move on to a segment that's going to kick off our week 2
Oh,
of the
hey,
year.
before we move on, sorry.
What?
I did want to say I had one very important note. With the Bills, I think that the Bills are still amazing and they look really good and they're going to be a great team this year. The issue is that they do not need the passing game to succeed, and they know that. And if you have Keon or if you're relying on anybody, Dalton Kincaid, I would start to worry because they do not need the passing game this year, and it's going to be similar to the Chiefs, I believe, of last year.
I think that's very true, and it's very clear that somehow Khalil Shakir is like Josh Allen's dude. So maybe him and Keon can figure it out throughout the year. Bench Keon from this point on until you see it happen. I mean, had a great week 1. This game was odd, but these early weeks are so detrimental for your team. Don't risk
Yeah.
it. Wait till you see it. Miss out on the first boom game by Keon, and it might come, but wait until you see it moving forward. That's what I'm going to do. So,
Yeah, just get your guaranteed points because
right,
other players are going to make those mistakes.
exactly.
So you don't have to.
Um, so kicking off our first segment of the night after our Thursday night recap, we're calling it Back on Track. These
Right.
are players who laid an egg. They're for well, in our case, the first week of the season, but moving forward, it will be in the previous week. Players who just absolutely shat the bed. Players who you started, you trusted, and they let you down big time. And it wasn't fun to start them. You were sitting there looking at the box score, just waiting, saying, where are they at? What are they doing? What the hell did I just do? And we're here to tell you that relax, chill,
Chill out, bro.
take a Zan, bro. I mean, don't do
13
that.
hours till I land.
Grab a brewski and just like calm down, watch some football, and realize that these players are studs. They're in a situation to succeed the following week, and we're going to let you know who they are. So I'm going to let you go first, Jabo.
All right, first on the docket, I've got Jamar Chase versus Kansas City. Joe Burrow did look kind of atrocious last week, but he tends to do that every season. That I looked back, he
Week
always kind of
one,
starts slow, week 1
he
especially,
ain't ready.
and this matchup is always a barn burner. And I think Joe Burrow is going to have a day. It's not that I don't think his injury is going to limit him to the point to where he's not going to. produced for Jamar Chase. So don't worry about Jamar Chase. He's gonna get the targets. Nothing's changed about this offense. There's no new weapons in the offense. Jamar Chase is the dude. He's gonna get the targets, and they're gonna need him in this game. So think
Yeah,
it.
I mean, and even last week, Jamar was what 6 for 64, 6 for 60 plus, something like
Yeah,
that.
he didn't even kill you.
Like he was fine. Um, he's still that guy. These teams
Yep.
hate each other. Jamar Chase hates the Chiefs. He had an interview in the locker room yesterday, or maybe it was this morning, and he was like, "We hate them. They hate
Yeah.
us. We're gonna come out punch them in the mouth." And so I'm excited to watch that game. That was Justin's matchup of the week last or on our last episode, and
Yeah, I'm excited to see
obviously,
that game.
obviously you're starting Jamar Chase, so it's not like it's a start sit decision, but like pump the brakes, chill out.
It's more so just get some confidence going
Right.
about him. You're gonna be good.
Yeah.
You remember who he is. He's your first round pick. So be
And
excited.
he should act like it this week. I'm in agreement there. My first back on track candidate is someone who I hope, for me personally, does not come to fruition, but it's Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews.
Come on. No, I'm just kidding.
What do you mean? You don't
I'm just
agree?
kidding. No, I'm just fucking with you.
I could have picked every tight end in everyone's starting lineup and said they were going to bounce back, but Mark Andrews
Yeah,
specifically, I mean,
I agree with you.
Mark Andrews was triple covered all last game against the Chiefs. He has historically never had a good game against Kansas City Chiefs. They know how to exclude him from a football game. And I still think Mark Andrews is a absolute monster. Whoop. I moved Justin out of the screen. Um, Mark Andrews is an absolute monster, and he's not going to be shut out from many games going on this year. I think the Chiefs just have his number, um, and I'm not scared of Isaiah Likely taking his work away from him. And I said
No,
this before. Likely is
like you
their
said, he's
wide
the
receiver
wide
too,
receiver too.
and the Ravens are playing the Raiders. Their defense doesn't scare me too much. Uh, I just
Yeah,
think he's too talented to not become that person that you drafted. He's still healthy. You know, he got in the car, whatever. That had nothing to do with his performance against the Chiefs in week one. They got the extra time. They're going to figure it out. Lamar's going to get him involved. Pump the brakes on Mark Andrews. He's going to be back on track this coming week.
I like it.
You're
All right, my second back on track player of the week is Amari Cooper versus the Jacksonville Jaguars.
hell yeah, brother.
It's a great matchup. Everybody loves when the receivers going against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I couldn't tell you a cornerback on that team, to be honest with you. CJ Henderson, maybe. Either way, it doesn't matter.
I
He
was going to
sucks.
say, is he even
He's
still
in
on that
Florida,
team?
so who
Hell yeah.
cares? You know, Amari Cooper had all the targets. You know, Deshaun Watson looked like
Garbage.
dog crap from the dog pound. Um,
Hey, I like that.
but yeah, I like that
That
too.
was good.
That's good on
I
the
was like,
spot,
what,
right?
dog pound? And I was like, oh. Because the Browns apparently is a stupid dog as their mascot. Anyways, I'm not
I
gonna get into that.
appreciate the shout out. That
But
made me
no,
feel
that's good.
good. Yeah, Amari Cooper's the dude, man. Jerry Judy's nothing.
Also got hurt, knocked
Elijah
out of
Moore's
last game.
nothing. Okay, well then he's really nothing now. Um, and I think Deshaun Watson will be okay. You know, he hasn't played a full season in so long. This is his first, season where he's just going to be healthy. Well, hopefully. The point is, like, it's going to take him some time to get back on track.
And he also got gifted the gift of playing the Dallas Cowboys week
Yeah.
one.
He
So,
had Micah Parsons week one.
right.
I
Just
mean, he was shitting his pants, but
Micah
you couldn't
Parsons
see
just
it.
like coming down his throat.
Pause.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a tough outing for Deshaun and the Browns, but
Yeah.
we've seen
I
the
know Kyle likes
promise.
to pick.
Yeah, I I'm
Well, you're not
hoping it
starting him this
happens.
week, but
I didn't even start him last week. I threw in Rashi Rice over Amari Cooper, which I drafted way higher than Rashi Rice, but
yeah.
I just kind of had a feeling, and I'm glad I did. Still would have won anyways, so it's fine. And I just think that it's a good practice to revert to what we knew is true after a first week, 1 week outlier, unless there's the behind the scenes metrics like the utilization, the team structure, the team philosophy that is going to take that away from him. It didn't. He had nine targets, just 2 catches. Like there's that's just a
Yeah.
product of a off game. Maybe Deshaun Watson sucks. Whatever. He could still
Even
suck.
if he does,
Right.
even if he still continues to suck, Amari Cooper's going to be good.
Any quarterback in the
He's going to
league.
catch more than 2 balls out of 9 targets
Exactly.
in another game.
Exactly. So I'm in. All right. My bounce back, or not bounce back on track player at wide receiver is the rookie Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison Jr.
I almost picked him.
You
I
can't.
wonder why. Oh, Kyle fleeces Christina in our league, trades away Zay Flowers for Marvin Harrison, and now he's his back
Listen,
on track player of the week.
you, first of all, 2 points here. Um, it doesn't get much worse than zero point 0.4 points. So any improvement here is considered a back on track for
I'm
Marvin
with you
Harrison.
about the pick. I just think it's ill timed.
I am going to be fully transparent. I traded Zay Flowers for Marvin Harrison straight up. I didn't think
After 1 week, he gets to trade away his 7th round pick for a 2nd round wide receiver.
I knew the manager Christina who had Marvin Harrison. She lost her week. She got screwed. She had McCaffrey. She didn't have Mason. Marvin Harrison nearly goosed her, and I had a feeling she'd be fed up with an unknown player. You know, like she may have drafted him because it's like what she was supposed to do, and he sucked. And she had Zay Flowers last year, who she started frequently, and she made it far in the league. So I knew that she had that connection with Zay Flowers, who was a receiver on my bench. I didn't need to be starting him, and I'm like, you know what? I got Cooper Kupp and Rushy Rice locked in right now as my wide receivers, so I'm gonna ride with them. Let me just throw the dice, see if it works. And she said it was the best offer she had, and she accepted it. And I didn't need to do any politicking to get him on my team. So now I have the luxury of letting him blossom into this beautiful, glorious league winner on my bench.
I mean, that's like the best scenario you could ever imagine because you don't even have to start him the entire year. It really wouldn't even hurt your team that bad. If
Nope.
that trade doesn't work out, whatever, dude. Zay Flowers, honestly, my opinion, he was gonna suck anyways.
No, Zay Flowers is good. He just is going to be extremely inconsistent.
Yeah,
And
he'll give you serviceable weeks, but which week?
yeah, exactly.
It's roulette.
So I decided to give it a shot and it worked. So PSA, buy low on Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, apparently.
If you can figure out a way to do it. I mean, he could suck and he could have one of the worst rookie seasons of all time, and I might look dumb for it.
It's
But
yeah, I don't
at the
think so.
cost that I was able to give as my, wide receiver 4, because I've got Amari Cooper on my bench too. So I have options there. So anyways, aside from our specific league, Marvin Harrison should bounce back. They're playing the Rams. We talked about the Rams Cardinals matchup. Um, Kyler
Should be a
Murray had
juicy one.
some interesting comments about his utilization. He said, "That's not my job to force feed him
Hmm,
the ball." He said, "My job is to help the team win." So if that's not what that needs to
interesting.
be, yeah, it was very candid
I
on.
wonder if because I love Marvin Harrison as a football player. Obviously, I'm a Colts fan. He won me a championship, but I will say he's kind of like LeVar Ball with how involved he is with his son. Like for real though.
I did
Like
not know
the
this.
the press went to Marvin Harrison about the game, like Marvin Harrison Sr. about the game, and like asked him what he thought, and he said that they need to get my son the ball. And that's been like part of the process with Marvin Harrison Jr. is that his dad has been very involved, and he can go in any facility he wants. He's a Hall of Fame wide receiver. He can walk into the Cardinals facility whenever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
So he may be annoying the fuck out of him.
And this is a back on track segment. This is a positive thing here.
Oh, you're right, right.
He's still the alpha, and
Damn.
it's Greg. He got bodied by Greg Dortch, but this is a bounce back, back on track. Marvin Harrison, if you most likely you have to start him. So, I mean, I'm lucky I don't have to, but most likely you have to start him. If you have someone that balled out and you're willing to take the shot to give him a rest week, I'm cool with that. But just going forward, he's going to be back on track, and don't lose your confidence, and don't be one of the people that sells him after a terrible week one performance. So,
Yep.
number 3 for you.
Number 3 for me, Garrett Wilson versus the Tennessee Titans. Obviously, the utilization of Garrett Wilson was not the issue last week. It was just that the offense never really got it going as far as getting down the field entirely. It seemed like they would put drives together and then just completely fall apart. Um, and I think that this is going to be a bounce back week for them. They had the 49ers as their week one matchup. It's not a great matchup for
No, not at all.
Aaron Rodgers to be coming off his Achilles. He's probably scared for his life,
I would
as he
be.
should have been. You
Nick
got Fred
Bosa, Leonard
Warner
Floyd.
coming at you, Leonard Floyd, Nick Bosa. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
So I think not only will Garrett Wilson bounce back, but I think obviously Aaron Rodgers. I think as the season progresses, he'll have a bounce back season.
for sure.
His throws still looked great. So um,
Yeah, he had 11 targets, 6 receptions
yeah,
for 60 yards, like 10 yards per reception. You know, you'll
he'll
be
be fine.
fine. You'll be fine. And
He'll
Tennessee's
get some
defense doesn't
hit
scare me.
some deep throws too.
So I think the Jets, and we mentioned this on our last show. I think the Jets' offense is going to just explode this week, and
Yeah,
we're going to see their
I
full
think
potential. I
this.
think the Niners are just the real deal, and the Jets are knocking off the week one rust with a new quarterback and some new pieces back in, especially the O line. Um, they'll they're going to get
I
back
think
on
the
track.
fact that the Jets even had drives where they did look good against that good of a team in the 49ers, I think that's promising.
No, I agree. So Garrett Wilson, you're starting him anyways, but confidence is there. Move forward. Wusa, Hakuna Yurtadas. It's going to be a good time. Um, my final back on track player of the week is a running back who played the Titans defense last week, DeAndre Swift. He sulked last
I
week.
almost picked him as well. It's interesting
He,
we almost picked the same players.
hey, we disagree a lot, but not on everything. And he was terrible. The game was weird. The Titans got up really quick, 17-0. And even then, his efficiency on the ground, he finished with 30 rushing yards and it just 10 carries. Like, it wasn't a thing for him to be a part of this game. And I think they're taking on the Texans. I think that this has the potential to be a shootout of a game, although you're missing Roma Dunze and Keenan Allen for the Bears. And I think that is a benefit for Swift in the passing game. He didn't
Sure.
he didn't catch a single pass week one. I think that Caleb Williams is got the week one rust knocked off. I think he's going to lean on DeAndre Swift with an absence of two of his best players, and I think he's going to be good for you. I don't know if it's going to be a league-winning performance, but he's going to give you more than 3 points. So
Yeah.
if you have a flex option that you're deciding between Swift and someone else, I think Swift could have a great game against Houston. So
Yeah. I agree with you about the Swift. I think he's going to have a great game this week. Houston is a little scary because they did just lock up Jonathan Taylor.
I mean, they
Like,
didn't
they
though.
really locked him up.
Jonathan Taylor
They
still had a
they
good game.
I no, he had a touchdown. He didn't have a good game. His yards per carry was actually pretty bad. And I watched every snap of that
Oh yeah,
game.
16 for 48 with a
Yeah, no,
touchdown.
that defense is raw. I will say, but I still agree with your pick because I think he's going to need to be involved in the pass game. Hopefully, he'll check it down to him. My issue, just with the Chicago Bears in general right now, I think the bright lights kind of get to Caleb Williams.
It's been one game.
Um, I know, but if you look back to even his college career, when they versed Power Five teams, the bright lights got to him. And I'm not even saying just like the bright lights, not just the stage that he was on, but I think the defense, like when you're playing a good team, everything goes faster. Everybody's moving quick. That can fluster quarterbacks, and I think that's what's happening to him right now.
He can't have a much worse performance than he'd had in week one. I believe in the kid. I think he'll turn it around, and I think Swift is attached to that. I think the
Yeah,
better that Williams is, the better Swift will be, and I think he is. I
yeah,
think
he
he's
was good
devoted.
last year.
I think he's devoted to this team and being a great player. So I think he'll turn it around. I think the Bears have a good game. The defense is going to keep the Houston Texans offense in check. I don't think that they're going to score as many points as they did against the Colts. I think that the Bears have a fantastic defense, so I think Swift will be
Yeah.
allowed to be a better part of their game plan going forward. But now, that was the sunshines and roses. That was the peaches and cream. That was the
Now we're
biscuits and
going to your
gravy.
your neighbor's basement.
What? What about my neighbor's basement?
We're going to there.
Oh, I don't want to go there.
We're going.
If your neighbor ever invites you over to his basement, say no. Dial 911.
Do it. It's a good time.
If Justin ever calls you to come over to his basement,
If I'm ever your neighbor, you're in trouble.
oh, Jesus Christ! All right, move on before we get in trouble.
All right.
So we head back on track. Now it's all downhill from here. These are players that either laid an egg week one and that's the way it's going to be, or they're riding high. They're living life. They had a great
Yeah.
week. They were your week winners, and they are not going to continue on that trajectory.
I already know who you're putting on your list. So I'm
My
not going to do it.
first downhill from here is Jaden Reed
Jaden Reed.
of the
I already
Green
knew.
Bay Packers. Yeah, that's why I didn't even bother. That's why I was like, I'm going first because Jaden Reed, it's hard to build upon that performance that he had. It doesn't get much
I almost
better.
put him on my list, I will say.
Well, I mean, and we spent all last episode dunking on Malik Willis, saying how trash of a quarterback he is. Yes, he's going to be involved, but I think he can be a little bit of fool's gold.
Honestly, even if Jordan Love was healthy, I still would have been okay with him being on the list.
Yeah, because it's
He was
not
the number one wide receiver last week, and that's not who he's most likely going to be.
the
I
odds
like
are
Jaden
in
Reed.
his
I think he's a
favor.
great player, but 32 points is not going to happen regularly.
No,
And you're right. Yeah, he had some. There were some slips out there. I still think that even if that defender doesn't slip, he doesn't score the touchdown. Still a 60-yard play,
yeah, no,
regardless.
it's
So I think
he's
he's still going
still
to
a
be a
good
great
player.
player, but he's going to take a massive step down. I
Yes,
completely agree with you there.
for not just this week, for the next few
Yeah.
weeks, as long as Jordan Love is out. So technically, Jordan Love, they've not ruled him out of the game. He ain't playing.
Oh yeah,
Don't
that's weird. I don't know. He's
don't
not
worry
playing.
about that.
There's no chance.
Jaden Reed, he'll still be involved. So if you need to start him, you can. But I would look otherwise or otherwhere. I
I'd
would
start
look. What's the word I'm looking for? Elsewhere. That's the word. I would look
Elsewhere.
elsewhere. Thank you. Go ahead. Number one. Who's downhill from here?
Yeah, I think I've already mentioned it a couple times throughout the week, but Stephon Diggs versus the Chicago Bears. As you said, Chicago Bears, Chicago Bears,
Me and all shout
Chicago
out all my Bears.
Bears has a pretty legit defense. I don't know how because I don't know a single player on that defense,
Ah,
but It's supposedly pretty good.
It's tough when we're
And
like huge fantasy guys to keep uh, abreast to NFL defenses as well because we're so focused on the offensive pieces. But the
yeah,
Bears had a great defense last year and
but
is
I love
continuing this year.
defense, and I still don't know who is on the team. Like I try to pay attention to defenses. Either way, they have a good defense. Maybe not top of the league, but it's okay. And Stephon Diggs just he didn't surprise me last week. I've already talked about it. If he doesn't get the touchdowns, I don't know if he's going to have a good fantasy performance. And yeah, maybe he is a guy who is good at finding the end zone. Maybe they will target him in the red zone. There's still going to be weeks where he doesn't find it. There's going to be weeks where Mixon punches in all the touchdowns. There's going to be weeks where Stroud can use his legs for the touchdown. Tank Dell
There's
can
plenty of options.
catch it from 40 yards back and take it to the. There's too many options. There's going to be weeks where he doesn't get the touchdowns,
yeah, I'm
and
for
there's
it.
a lot of mouths to feed.
And well, I mean, 2 touchdowns and not a ton of yardage. He was a big red zone threat, but like I said, the Bears defense, the variance with the offense, he's not doing that every week with those weapons. It's just physically not
Yeah,
possible. There's too many things going on. So, as much as I still do believe in Stephon Diggs and see him as a valuable fantasy asset, like someone I would like to have on my team, um, at an appropriate value, I'm for it. I think this week he's in for a regression, and it's pretty easy to get less than 2 touchdowns in a game. Like that's tough to
yeah,
do. So I think it's fair assessment.
yeah. He's similar to Jaden Reed, where it's like they both had such great performances that's probably above their
Right.
normalcy that they're going to regress no matter
Yeah.
what.
So number two, we're gonna just jump into this together from both our notes. We had Ramondre
All right,
Stevenson.
Rondre Stevenson.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Ramondre
Ramondre
Stevenson.
Stevenson.
I was waiting for you. Whatever. That was terrible. Um,
I did not.
Ramondre Stevenson, running back for the Patriots, he feasted against uh, the Bengals. Like he
He
just
did. He ate.
ate. Like the
He
dude
ate a
looks
whole
like he
feast.
eats, and he did eat. He had
Yeah.
120 yards on the ground and a touchdown, and 25 carries. So they
Yeah.
just fed him everything. But
Kind of surprising.
100,
I thought Antonio Gibson would be pretty involved this year. He still may be, but he wasn't last game.
yeah, it was odd. This game was just weird. No one expected anything that happened in this game to happen. Quite literally anything. There's not a
Yeah.
single stat or any situation that happened in the game that was prescriptive of what was expected. And this is why, I mean, Justin, you put him on here as well, but this is my reason why he is my downhill from here. One, that's a great game, hard to follow. 25 carries, he's not getting that every week.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not happening. He plays Seattle this week. Denver just played. I'm a Broncos fan. I watched that game very closely last week. The Denver running backs did not have a single yard after contact in that game.
No way. The entire
The
game.
entire game.
Oh my gosh. Well, that was also my reasoning as well.
Ramondre Stevenson had 139 yards after contact last week against the Bengals. The Seahawks defense showcased that they can shut down the run. They know how to tackle. I watched, and yes, the Broncos running backs, think what you want about them. They could be a bunch of slouches and just be terrible, but not allowing a single yard after contact, that defense was flying around in Seattle, and I still believe the Patriots are one of the worst teams in the NFL.
They
I
were
think
the Legion of Zoom.
they were. You're on fire today. The Legion is let's go. Okay. No, they shut it down in the run game, and I think Ramondre Stevenson, the passing weapons are not going to beat them, and I think that Seattle knew that about Denver as well, and I think that they're just going to take him out of the game, and
Yeah.
make their trash wide receiver options and their trash quarterback beat them.
Yeah. Pretty much everything you were going to say, I was going to say. So,
Oh, you knew that stat about the yards after contact
I
too?
didn't know that, but I did also watch most of the game, and yeah, the Seahawks defense looks real, and
Night and day from last year.
just I'm not a believer in Ramondre getting that many carries, first of all,
That's not happening.
or being that efficient. So
I think that's the same situation with Mixon last week.
yeah,
It was working,
yeah,
so they didn't stop. Like they didn't need to, and I think that they're not going to be in that situation a lot of times this year because the Patriots are a terrible team. I don't care what the record shows.
right.
They're trash. So, all right, go ahead with your third and final downhill from here player of week 2 in the NFL.
Yeah. My third and final is Josh Jacobs versus the Indianapolis Colts. Um, I'm not a Josh Jacobs believer in general. He did look okay. Um, but I also don't think the Eagles defense is anything to be necessarily scared of as far as its run game goes. And the Indianapolis defense is all they let um Joe Mixon eat. They did. But he ate on the goal line more so than he did the scrimmage line. And I think Josh Jacobs is an inefficient back, and he's going to be inefficient this week. And Jordan Love is out. The only option for the Colts to target is the run game. They're not going to target Jaden Reed or whatever in the pass game. They're going to lock down Josh Jacobs and force Willis to pass the ball.
I cannot express to you how much I disagree with every single thing that you just said. One, Josh Jacobs looked great because he is great.
I
Two,
said he looked good, so I don't know what you're talking about. I said Josh Jacobs did look good last week.
I I'll let you say your piece. Now I'm going to tell you
All
the
right.
facts. Josh Jacobs did look good because he is good. Two, the Eagles do have a great defense, and he gashed them. 16 for 84, incredible efficiency, and he is going to be leaned on by the team. So he's going to be even more involved. Maybe that efficiency drops, but he is the guy at running back. Two, Mixon gashed the Colts on the ground, not just in the red zone. He was over 5.5 a carry last week. And they're going to rely on that for Josh Jacobs. So I think Josh Jacobs, I would put him as what closer to my start of the week, pure volume, and a team that has already proven that they can get beat on the run and a talented back. It's almost
Look,
the exact
it
situation with Mixon times two.
he is going to have almost zero to no touchdown opportunities because it's going to be very hard for that team to even get near the goal line. And the Indianapolis defense, that's all they have to worry about is Josh Jacobs. If they lock down Josh Jacobs, that team is not doing anything against them. And the Indianapolis defense did look bad. But I'll tell you this, their D line is not bad by any means.
I mean, yeah, they you got a couple guys, but I'm just saying what I've seen so far is the only downside I see is Josh Jacobs not having the touchdown opportunity because they're not moving the ball. But
Yeah.
you can luck into that. He can bust a big one. He 39 yards
Well, okay,
rushing
this is
yards.
also a regression, like we said.
Well, he only scored 10 points
I'm
last
not saying
week.
he's going to have 2 points, but
He
I'm
only scored
saying
10 points
that,
last week.
but that's going to be his upside this week. That's going to be his upside the rest of the time that Josh or Jordan Love is out.
It's a cat and mouse situation. Is it they're going to lean on the run game more and increase volume for a good back because their quarterback is trash, or is the pass lack of passing game going to completely limit his efficiency in the run game?
Well, what did
Where is it
the
going to?
Raiders do last season? I think that's about exactly the situation we're looking at right now.
I no,
Their
because the Raiders
quarterback
are
play
just trash
sucked.
all
They
over.
had Aiden O'Connell, and so they had to rely on Josh Jacobs. They gave him a shit ton of workload, probably close to that 30. carries a game like I was saying. And he was very inefficient because of it, because every defense knew exactly what was coming. It was going to be Josh Jacobs, Josh Jacobs, Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. This is. Do you want to put another bet on this one? Josh Jacobs finishes higher than he did this past week.
Yeah, you said he had 10 points.
Yeah, 10.4 in standard. He had 20 receiving yards. I don't have in front of me how many catches he got though. 84 rushing yards on 16 attempts, and then 20 receiving yards.
I'll do you the rushing yards.
This is a fantasy football show, brother. This is fantasy points, man. We're talking about a play and what you're going to get
But
after
I'm
it.
not going to bet, because if he just happens to fall in the end zone, yeah, he can
Oh,
beat last week.
so he has the possibility to fall in the end zone.
It's always a possibility, but it's not likely.
Okay, all right. So,
All right, I'll take the bet right now.
hell yeah, the chicken always works. Bet. Josh, Jake, I'm writing it down. I got the other one too. Don't forget, Diggs McLaurin. That's you and me this weekend. All right. All right, we're moving on. That was our downhill from here. We're gonna finish this game. This game. I wish we were finishing the stupid game. Um, we're going to finish our show with a DFS challenge. So Justin and I, we picked a DFS lineup. Um, this was our first time actually going through and doing it, and
Yeah.
our budget was
Well,
60,000.
yeah. It
So
wasn't my first time doing it on the FanDuel app, but it was my first time with. I did a head to head with just me and Kyle, so we're not competing against other players. And we don't know if it actually gave us the,
like the default
you know,
scoring or the default budget, whatnot. So we got 60,000. So you might not have this doing it, but essentially this allows us to pick our optimal lineup from top down with players ranked at certain number values. So
yeah,
um,
we were biased.
I haven't seen Justin's. He hasn't seen mine, and it's gonna be interesting to see what strategy how we went through this, and we'll see which team you
Do
guys
you
like
think
better.
any of us have the same players?
Yes, I think we have two of the same players.
Okay. I'll go with one.
All right, one. All right.
Yeah.
Well then you start. Go ahead with your quarterback first.
All right. To start off, I had Jared Goff at 7,800.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. They're playing Tampa Bay. I don't view Tampa Bay as a bad matchup, and I think he's looking to have a bounce back game against Tampa Bay with Amon Ra and Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta getting more worked in this week.
Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't just spend the extra $200 and get Kyler Murray at 8,000 against Arizona. Kyler Murray versus
Mm,
Jared Goff to
I'm
me
not
this
that big of
week,
a fan.
oh, dude. Or I said at Arizona, at the Rams. That's who that is. Yeah, I paid Kyler Murray 8,000, 200 point difference between our quarterbacks, and I said it yesterday on my uh, what do we call that segment again? Our guarantees. What do we call it?
Something like that.
I, say it with your chest. Saying it with your chest.
Some.
Kyler Murray was going to have 4 total touchdowns, be a top 3 QB. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is. Kyler Murray, 8,000 at the Rams. So RB1. Who is your RB1, Justin?
Awesome. I had Jonathan Taylor at 8,200 as my RB1 against the Green Bay defense. I think he should be able to eat, and I think I'll have a bounce back game as far as production goes, and he should be able to fall in the end zone as well.
Yeah, I think I almost went Jonathan Taylor there, but I decided to save 100 points,
Yeah.
and I went with Joe Mixon, 8,100.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon against the Bears. I was a firm believer in um, Josh Jacobs and what he presented to the team. I think that the Bears defense is great, so they're going to have to spread the ball around. They're going to have to get the ground game going if they're going to be successful this week. Joe Mixon, save me $100 as my RB1.
Sure. All right. I had James Conner as my running back too. Another player that
How
I'm
much?
looking to have. Oh, 6,500. My bad.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was actually kind of on the lower end somehow, um, as far as the other players went, because we had such a high budget. But yeah, I think he looked good last week, and he's gonna look good this week, and they're gonna lean on him all year.
I love James Conner this year. I'm just hoping he disappears into oblivion for my boy Trey Benson to take the reins. But he's great. I mean, he's so unsexy, and you just don't. You look at your lineup and you see James Conner there, and you're like, yeah, that's cool. He's good and all, but like, where's the spice? Give me some more. But he's gonna get it done, and
Yeah.
he's great. So I decided to save some quiche on my RB2 here. After the performance he put up Monday night, Jordan
Mhm.
Mason at Minnesota, 5,500.
Okay.
He looked great. He got all the work, other than Debo.
Even though Christian McCaffrey might play.
I would
So
bet.
that's the only reason I didn't go McCaffrey, to be honest with you. But they're saying he can play.
I think there is a 0.0% chance that Christian McCaffrey plays this week. Quite honestly, I think there's no shot he plays. There's no benefit there. You don't have a guy like Jordan
Yeah.
Mason come out and show what he can do against a much better defense in uh, the New York Jets, and risk your Super Bowl season by losing your alpha running back because you want to put him in a week early after he showed that he can get the job done playing against stacked
Yeah.
boxes. I just think that there's no chance he plays, and he's going to get all the work, sharing a carry or two with Debo here and there. So Jordan Mason at Minnesota, 5,500. Save a little quiche.
All right. So you probably went heavy on the wide receivers then, huh? All right. Well,
Possibly.
my wide receiver one is Cooper Cup, which I'm sure that's music to your ears.
That is my pick as
Cooper
well.
Cup at 7,700. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
We share that pick.
that was not the one that I expected,
Really?
um, but yeah, at Arizona, a
Yeah, I
dog.
mean, at Arizona, it's and Puka's out, and also a lot of their players are out, and at this point, they just have to rely
And
on,
Arizona's defense is garbage.
yeah,
So,
they just have to rely on what makes them a good team, and that's the Stafford to Cup connection. And
and it's
I
gonna be
think
glorious. My sweet
he
sweet
might get
Cooper Cup.
20 targets this game.
After 21 last week, run it up, baby. So yeah, I did the same, exact same reasons. I mean, he's an absolute lock. Um, I guess then, yeah, I'm gonna let you
Yeah,
go
I'll,
first
I'll
because I
go
even,
ahead and go.
yeah, go. You're a wide
Well,
receiver too.
you're not gonna like this. Jaden Reed.
Stupid.
Jaden Reed for 5,800. He was just at this point in my lineup. I kind of spent up on some other players, so he was cheap, and I think his floor is pretty safe this week. I think he'll be heavily involved. Um, I don't. His ceiling's not there, but I've got that saved for some other players. So
Jaden Reed, 5,800 is not worth 58 cents in this lineup. Malik Willis is straight dog shit. So, um, but you could have spent 600 more and got Malik Neighbors at 6,400 against the Washington Commanders.
talk about dog shit.
Daniel Jones is dog shit, but you know what is more dog shit is that Washington defense, and
I might take Malik Willis over Daniel Jones.
that is blasphemy. Malik Neighbors actually had a decent rookie performance for his debut. Like he was okay. With Daniel Jones finishing at negative fantasy points for that matchup, and for Malik Neighbors to not be a complete dud, says a lot against a
Yeah,
way worse defense. Malik Neighbors, 6,400. He is gonna have a wide receiver one like game, either whether that's involvement or touchdowns or what that might look like. He's going to cement himself as one of the elite rookie running back, tight end, running back, quarterback, D line. He's a wide receiver. So
all right. As my third wide receiver, I have Mike Evans at 8,000. So that's where I kind of spent up on
damn,
Mike Evans. Um, Obviously, the touchdown potential is always there. Baker Mayfield looked exactly like he did last year, and if that connection continues, it's going to be electric all season. So
interesting. That
That's rad.
that seems steep for Mike Evans, especially against a great team like
He's my
the
most expensive
Lions.
player, actually, now that I'm looking at this list.
Yeah,
Or no,
no, Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor, but after him, yeah.
All right. Well, I think I have a similar type situation. Alpha on the team, scoring opportunity. I got Rashi Rice at Cincinnati for 6,900.
I almost did go with him.
I mean, just the value that he still represents after what we saw last week, what we saw in the preseason, what we saw at the end of
Yeah,
the year. It's like, what are people waiting for? What are we waiting
yeah.
for to put him in this upper tier wide receiver one for a great quarterback, great offense type conversation? So,
No,
Rashi
I
Rice at
I love
6,900.
Rashi Rice. He may be one of my favorite wide receivers to watch this season, but I can't lie. Marquise Brown scares me a little bit just because I don't think Marquise Brown is as good of a wide receiver as Rashi Rice. But the issue is that the team went out and traded for him or signed him or whatever. They invested in Marquise Brown and they talk very highly of him. And I think when he comes back, he's going to get a ton of utilization. And they're gonna overlap a little bit with their production.
I think there are two different types of players, and I think that
I think
Patrick
it's gonna
Mahomes
be
loves
like kind
Rashi
of.
Rice. I think
I think
that's
it's
like a
gonna be
genuine
similar to
connection.
the Houston wide receiver room once Marquise Brown is back, where it's gonna be a lot of mouths to feed.
It's not impossible. I just think Mahomes loves Rashi Rice. I think he trusts him. I think like that's his guy, and I don't think Hollywood has had the chance to cut into that as much as
Yeah.
people would think. So, Rashi Rice 6,900, and who's your tight end?
Um, is it gonna be the same? This one,
100%.
I feel like Brock Bowers.
As Brock Bowers.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, 5,300.
5,300.
So we talked about Brock Bowers in the last episode. He's
Yeah.
primed
He's
for,
the real deal.
yeah, and I will stamp my name to Brock Bowers from now until forever. It sucks he's on the Raiders because the
Yeah.
Raiders.
He also had a great price in this. So
Yeah, 5,300. He was well priced, well below the upper tier guys. Able
yeah, he
to,
was super low down there. So
um. So yeah, your
yeah, and then my flex
final
is gonna
flex.
be Amari Cooper, which we already talked about him in the bounce back. So
How much for Amari?
6,300.
Yeah, see, I must have. I don't know where I saved some money, but yeah, Amari Cooper. We talked about it, due for a bounce back. But I was able to get Josh Jacobs, 7,100. My final flex.
Yeah.
And we talked about Josh Jacobs. I think that that's going to be a steal, and I guarantee we both have the same defense too.
I doubt it.
Really? Well, I guess I don't know how much money you spent. I had plenty of money left over.
I
Um,
have the Chargers.
oh, I know. I took the Jets at Tennessee.
Oh,
The
I
Jets were
went
the
down the list and I
most.
said, "Who's playing Carolina?"
Well, that's a good one too. Well, that is very fair. But also, the Jets were the most expensive defense against Tennessee this week. I had the money, and I'm like, hell, Tennessee has a irresponsible quarterback that is
Yeah.
going to provide defensive scoring opportunities, and the Jets defense
I
is just good.
I looked at that matchup, but Will Levis, I just have not made up my mind on him yet.
I have. He sucks.
I think that he is kind of like a Jameis Winston type player, where he's gonna have games where he goes off and he has a ton of fantasy production, and there's be games where he's seeing ghosts and he throws 4 picks.
I don't think that that's possible because I don't
He's
think he
already done
will
it.
ever be good. I'm talking about through a whole season. Like Jameis was
Well, that's what I'm
that
talking
through a
about,
whole
though. That's what
season.
I'm talking about. I'm talking about games.
Anyone can have a good game.
Jameis has had fancy. He's had yards throughout the entire season, but the picks have always been there.
True, but he's also had a ton of touchdowns as well. So,
Yeah,
but what I'm saying is the defense has plenty of scoring opportunity against Tennessee, and we talked about the offense exploding, and I just think it's a great matchup.
yeah,
So that was 5 grand. That was $60,000 budget for our DFS lineup. So
yeah. Let us know in the comments who you think's going to win that.
I was gonna
Probably
say,
me.
and we'll keep you guys updated in our main league as well. Uh, we finished it off. We're ready for the week.
Yeah, I'm
We did
excited
good
for week 2.
time. Hour and 5 minutes in, so we're getting the hang of this. We're chugging along.
Cooking.
So after a lackluster Thursday night game, we went over our back on track and downhill from here players getting ready to start the right dudes, get your week back on track if you're 0-1 like Justin, or continue your dominance if you're 1
I'm
and
back
0,
on track, baby. Josh Allen, Tyreek Hill, and Dalton Kincaid combined for 18 points against me.
which is so lucky. That probably will never happen again. That those
Nope.
three players just
Oh,
absolutely shit
Caleb.
the bed.
Caleb will probably be contending for the title this year,
Yeah, with those
or at least
players,
I'll get a win against him.
seriously. So
Hopefully,
um,
it's not over yet.
that's all from us. We will catch y'all Tuesday after the week, after the Monday night. We're going to recap everything, and hopefully we'll catch you guys on a dub. I know I
Yeah.
will be. Justin
Now that we're
is,
not playing each
yeah,
other, we can root for each other, and hopefully
exactly.
the show gets a dub.
Exactly. So, as always, we're going to finish it off. Subscribe to the YouTube at youtube.com/slash last call fantasy football. Last Call Curry on Twitter, Last Call Carl, and Last Call Fantasy Football on Instagram.
Yep.
We're ready for a big
Follow the
week.
Instagram. We're posting heat on there. And if you want to follow our kind of reactions, I've been doing, I guess you could say, live stories on Sundays. So,
Yeah, absolutely. We're ready to rock and roll. Ready to get this season off to a great start. And we're out of here. I'm going to bed. So,
yeah, me too. Bye.
as always, don't miss the last call for fantasy football. Deuces.